Welcome back to the shop, and I hope you've had a good couple of days since the last time we talked. And so I started on the project as I told you I would, and what I've done so far is I've taken this piece. This is the piece of ash that we are working on to use, and I have jointed, meaning I have made sure that this face is flat. It's perfectly flat. Now, I also need an adjacent surface to be perfectly flat. So, I know this surface is flat. Now, I also made sure this surface was flat. So I'll make a mark here so I know this has been jointed. So I know that I haven't dealt with this side or with this, but I'm going to cut this off and I go and cut the size I need. And as for the thickness, we'll deal with that when we resaw anyway. So all that will be taken care of. Anyway, so that's what I have done so far. And my next step is I'm going to take this to the bandsaw and do a resaw. And I'll explain how that happened in the next segment. Thanks. If you remember from our last video, I told you that we're going to resaw this piece of wood, meaning we're going to split it right down the middle, right here. And we'll end up with two almost equally thick boards. We'll take them then to the planer and get them to the very exact thickness we want. But this is going to be done at the bandsaw. This can be done by hand, but I just don't feel like working that hard. So I've set up my bandsaw, and if you'll notice, if you can see, I'm going to stay at a little bit of an angle, but the distance between that blade and the fence, this is the fence, the distance between those two is just a little over 3/8 of an inch. This is a ripping blade, so if you notice the teeth, I don't know if we can get close enough, you can really see them well. Maybe if I turn this little light on. Oh, that might be too much. But anyway, if you will look right here, you will see the teeth, and the little areas in between those are called the gullets. And that's after the cut is come, this wood goes through there and gets ejected through there. So you want to make sure that when you feed the wood, you remember all of that. So, but I have to take the thickness of the blade into account. So I want it to be a little over 3/8 so that when I finally finish with the planing, they'll be 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll be back to talk to you in a few minutes. Hey everybody, since our last video, which I did just a little bit earlier, I took time to go to the bandsaw and work on what we call book match. I resawed, and I want to show you what that looks like. So give me just a minute. I'm going to flip the camera around and we'll pick up with the boards. Okay, now this is the board we started with, and just so that I'll prove it to you. Remember earlier we were jointing it, I put a mark on it, there's the J I put on it for jointing. So I took it to the bandsaw to saw this way. Unfortunately my bandsaw blade went off track and I couldn't get it back on, so I just let it go. And so this is not what we wanted, and I made two other boards. But I want you to see what the book match looks like. So I'm going to lay the board back down, so this is what it looked like. Now what happens is when I open it up now, you're going to see two almost perfectly matched mirrored images. Okay? Notice, to begin with, notice here how this grain right here all lines up. See how it all comes together and matches. Here you have the top of a cathedral right here, and then another one right here that matches up to it. Same as here. So what you've got here is basically a mirror image of what the board looked like. Now, if this had cut the way I wanted it to cut, then we would have used these to wrap. But I found another piece of wood I like just as much, and I've gone ahead and prepared that. So let me show you that. So this is the new material. It's two pieces that are 36 inches each. Let me turn it this way. They're 36 inches each. They're about 3/8 inch thick, and they're just about 9 inches wide here. So we'll have to cut them and get all of our sizes. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, is I'll start cutting these and getting them close to their proper sizes. In our next talk, we'll discuss what are we going to do about the joinery. All right, still learning how to turn this around. Anyway, I hope that makes sense to you about the book matching. Basically, you're cutting into the heart of something, and when you flip it open, you end up with with a mirror image of each other. So you do this with some highly figured woods. It's really beautiful. I'll look around, see if I can find some pictures to send you. Well, I'm going to go up to the house and have dinner. I hope you all are going to have dinner pretty soon. It's almost 6 o'clock. And we'll talk again in a couple of days when I have everything cut down to size and we're ready to talk about joinery. Take care. Talk to you later. Make some sawdust. Bye.